Hi everybody, Gina here with Belly Beads. Here today to bring you a tutorial on my two favorite projects, journaling and paper beads. So this project I learned from another YouTuber, and I'll link that below in the description. But I thought that I'd bring my paper beads into this. So I incorporated two different projects. And these are really a whole lot of fun, and they're very addicting. And they're great. They're very lightweight. And if you're out and about and you need some paper, always bring your journal. Look how cute. It looks like a little purse. I've been using these for a good 6 months, and I thought I have got to make this tutorial. Look, when you open it up, it has little envelopes, little tucks. Now there's this whole new lingo vocabulary in junk journaling that I'm still learning. There's tucks, there's signatures, and this is what this is right here. These are called signatures. There's a particular amount of paper bound together, and little envelopes, little tucks, little secret. Look at these little pockets, and then of course we have paper beads. Of course we have paper beads. So let's get started. I want to show you, oh, here's one of my other favorite ones. I have this like this old newspaper, and in junk journaling they have a lot of vintage things, a lot of vintage paper, and I found this great paper. It was newspaper, and I thought that would be great for this journal. And you can sew on paper, which I really believe is the most mind-blowing thing for me. When I started this, I thought you can sew on paper. I thought it was awesome. And the papers that you choose are so pretty. You can choose them from your cardstock. Definitely opened up many doors for me. And there is paper beads hanging from this as well. So I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to show you how to make it. You need a ruler, you need an awl, and you need these envelopes. This is the larger envelopes. They do make smaller envelopes, and I got them at the dollar store. The smaller envelopes, I'm going to show you what they look like. You get about 8 of them. You use your paper, 12 by 12. Then you're going to get some more paper and cut it down to 8.5 by 11. You have your scissors, of course your paper beads, and they're going to be your handle, which I thought was really neat. You're going to need glue and string, anything that you have around your house, it doesn't matter. You're going to need some Scotch tape, and this is ink and a little, we call them little daubers. It's to distress the paper, which is really kind of awesome. And it's to distress the edges, as I just showed you. It's really kind of cool. It makes it very vintage-like, very old and very distressed. So the first thing I want to show you is the envelopes I want to show you. These are smaller envelopes. Now I haven't made any smaller journals, but I can just see them now. They're going to be the cutest thing. And once you see this one, when it's done, you're going to make a whole lot of them like I did. Now this little brad here that we want to take off, just be careful. It does have little prongs, but it's very easy to take off if you just kind of wiggle it back and forth. You can, and it just comes right off. There is this little piece of paper, sticky paper, you can take off as well. This is all going to be covered. It just creates bulk if you keep it on. You want to go ahead and fold it right to the crease of the flap where it flaps over. So this is on the inside of the flap, not the outer part of the envelope. Now you want to turn over your envelope, and we're going to choose our paper. Now remember, when choosing your paper, if it has writing on it, you want to make sure it's right side up. It's not crooked, or if you want it crooked, that's fine too. You can use any kind of glue. I'm using just the glue stick. You can use Elmer's glue, you can use clear glue. You can measure this paper out if you want, but I think this is the quickest and easiest way actually for tutorial purposes. You're just going to go ahead and glue this down. And you do want to go over the flap and just put it all over. Make sure that you have the edges and everything so the paper doesn't come up. And then you want to press your paper down. Don't go over the folded flap, the edge. You do just want to go over to that area right there. And you can press it down with your hand. You can press it down if you have a roller. Then you're going to flip it over and you want to cut along there. I am very careful with the scissors so I don't cut the envelope itself, so you want to make sure that you have really sharp scissors. And don't cut the edge of the envelope yet. We will be cutting the edge of the envelope, but I'll show you a little later what we do with that. And you just keep going all the way around. And then once you're done this part, you want to ensure that everything is glued down, even the edges, and if it isn't, then you want to go ahead and reinforce that. You definitely want to reinforce the flap. You can get your ruler, because now that you have this extra additional paper over it, it may be a little bit more heavier. So you want to crease it and just reinforce that. Choose your second piece of contrasting paper. Now you don't have to, you can have the whole entire paper and use it. It's up to you. You do want to, though, however, you do want to go over that flap, over the edge. So this is what it looks like, a little bit about an inch over. Now this is the back side of the envelope itself. So you want to get the mark it right there and grab your paper. There's a couple options you can do here. You can go ahead and measure it out and then pre-cut it, but I'm just going to go ahead and glue everything down. This seems to be the easiest way. And again, take your time with it. I am going a little quicker because of video purposes. I don't want it to be too long. And just get your glue and place it all on there. Smear it all on, and then press down your paper. Remember that little mark you made to go over the folded area. Press down your paper. I think the glue, the stick glue, is a little better with the paper because it doesn't make it too bulky. Then you want to flip it over. Now this is the fun part. We don't want to cut the edge. We want to cut that edge though. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about to make a little flap. Look at that. Isn't that cool? All right, so we're going to get our scissors just for this part, and we're going to cut, but we don't want to cut the envelope on this side. We want to cut it on that side. Now, to make a nice clean cut, we can go ahead and use just, you know, our automatic cutter, or I forget what these are called. Our little slicer there, and that makes for a very clean cut envelope opening. Look at that, see? Now again, make sure that you can cut it with your scissors too. Make sure that the paper isn't lifting up. If it is, glue it back down, but keep pressing it down as you go. As you can see, that little piece needed it, and there you go. I think it's coming along really nicely. I'm checking all the edges to make sure that they're all down. So now that we have it, we're going to flip it over and we're going to reinforce that middle part. Again, I'm getting my ruler, pressing it down, because once you have the paper, it makes it a little heavier. Oh, if anyone has known that I did have a cat last year, I lost my beloved other cat, and we just got our kitten, and she just made her debut. If you saw her little head, and there she goes, Lily. All right, she made her debut onto my video. So we're going to flip over the envelope and we're going to choose another color for the left side of the envelope. Now this is a little trickier part. So um, in the journals, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. That's going to be this piece. We can go ahead and sew down. Oops, there she goes again. We can sew down the other little pockets that we're going to put on there. And I think she likes this color. Yeah, she approves. Okay. um, this part is optional. You can glue it all down. If you don't want to sew the pockets, glue everything down. If you don't want to, glue down any of the pockets and you want to sew them on, then just measure it out and don't glue it. But I'm gonna use this as a temporary, just putting it at the edges here, just to show you your options. I'm just going to measure it out. Now again, you can pre-measure this out so you don't have to do it this way, but I didn't glue down the entire piece because I want to pick it back up again to show you if you do decide you want to sew the pockets on. I didn't want to do it in this video. It takes a while and I didn't want to stop. So I didn't glue it down. If you decide to put your pockets on like this and sew them, then you don't want to glue it all down. You want to take it over to your sewing machine and then bring over your pockets. But I'm not going to sew them today, but I'm going to show you how to measure out your pockets. I've chose this paper and I'm going to go ahead and use the pencil. I'm just going to mark it right there and cut it. And I'm on a camera. I am sorry about that. Okay, I think the notch is right there. Let me make sure. Yeah, right there. Okay, we're good. And just go ahead and slice it. And then what else do we have here? We are going to, I think that's good. That's good. All right. Let me just clean this up a little bit because I'm going to show you another little trick to make them even. You can again measure them all out, but what I typically do is once I found that's the right size, I'm going to fold it over because I like to make them a little smaller. You can make them larger as well. That's the fun part about this, is you can make them as big as you want, any kind of size. Oh, Lily, you like this too? You're gonna get hurt, honey. Come on. Oh boy. All right. All right. Yes, I've chose this color, Lily. Oh boy. Here we go, darling. All right, let's put this aside and let's go ahead. I want to show you where I'm going to place these at. I'm going to get the same paper and I'm going to make another one on the top there, but I think it may be, I have an idea, it might be a little bit different because I like that red bird in the middle of it. So usually, again, you can measure all these out, but you know when you're making these journals, it's funny how things take a different turn. You think of something, oh, I could do this or I could do that, and then it just completely changes the entire idea. So I think that's what's happening with me right now. I'm changing my idea, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get my cutter. And for the life of me, I can't remember what these are called. My slicer, I don't know, but I'll remember probably later on after the video is done. Okay, and I think that I like this bird, but I want to put it on the side, but then he'll be crooked. So I think I have an idea. I'm going to cut this part off. And again, your pockets don't all have to be the same size. It depends. That's what the whole nice part of having journals. Junk journals, you can do whatever you want. Make them all different kinds of size. Now, at this point, if you wanted to sew your journal, your pockets onto the paper, take it over to your sewing machine now. But I'm not, so I'm going to go ahead and glue them all down. Now, but before I do that, I want to show you my corner pockets. There's also another one called a notch on this puncher. And there she goes again. I'm going to use the notch part of this hole puncher. I'm sorry, the corner part. And I'm going to use, oh boy, okay. Okay, Lily, thank you. I'm going to clean up the edges, which I love these corner pocket cutters. They just clean up the sides of it. Look at that. It makes it for a nice little edge. I'm going to do the same with this. Oh. Sometimes the paper's a little too thin and it doesn't catch it, and I usually do it like not on the table because on video purposes I always hold up the hole puncher, and it's difficult to do it in the air. So keep it down steady on your table. Now for this one, let me shake that off. For this one, I'm going to do the same. And if you'd like, which I love to do, is, oh boy, Lily, she's approving of my work today. You can distress the edges, and in junk journaling, you just use some ink and a little dabber or a sponge or anything, however you like, and you can touch up the edges. But for now, I'm going to glue down my paper. I'm decided I do not want to sew the pockets on. Make sure it does not, yeah, I don't want it to go over the middle part of the fold. See the edge? But again, if it does, it's okay. I want to make sure that everything, all right, I got to trim this up. You're not going to see the middle part once you place your signatures inside the journal, so just go ahead and start now by, we could do a couple things. We can put our, now on here, there's the notch. There's the corner punch, and then there's the notch. I'm using the notch part, and to make it, to find the middle, I usually just fold my paper and then just clip it like that. And I'll fold the next one, find the middle, and use the clip. Look how pretty that is. I think it just really makes for a very finished look. And there's that bird. I love that bird. I don't want to put it on the side because then he's going to be crooked. So I'm just going to go ahead and find the middle once again. Again, you can measure out. I try to do things and cut corners here, right? And there you go. Let's clean up our space. I'm going to go ahead now. If at this point, if you wanted to use some ink and do the edges, that's fine, to make it look distressed. But I'm just going to go ahead now and glue down the pockets. Remember, do not do the middle because you want that to be opened. And just press that down like so. Do the next one. I was thinking of fast forwarding this, but a lot of people tell me they like to, um, you know, do just make it along with me, make the project along with me. So that's why I'm not going to fast forward this, because some of this can be a little bit, boring. Watching me place glue on there. All right, look at that, and the bird came out perfect. My words are perfect too. Look at that, it says be happy. I thought that came out really sweet. All right, so now we're going to do the second portion of it. Keep trying to reinforce the fold flap. That piece right there, don't even worry about. That's going to be covered anyway. But if you are particular and you need to cut it, then cut it. You can measure it out. Let's, the contrasting color, I think I'm just going to make it pink, but it may be a different pattern. Let me grab this one right here. Yeah, this one's a little bit different. And we don't want to go over the flat. We want to keep making sure that we keep our opening. That will be covered later, but for now we're going to do the inside, and we're just going to go according to wherever that opening is, and I'll show you what I usually do. I just put the glue on it. So the glue will attach the paper. I don't have to worry about anything. You know, on the paper itself, it'll attach to where it needs to on the envelope itself. You want to make sure that you measure it. Now you will see some of the manila envelope. I mean, this the beige looking. I mean, it's you're going to see a little bit of it, but that's what the nice part of having this journal. There's no perfection. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece over. Make sure that you do not cut your envelope. And the best thing I do is I flip this or bend it over, because I have a little trick here that that I'm going to show you. And then there you go. Now I know that's where the beginning of the opening is, and I'm going to cut above that line that I creased. But before I do that, I'm going to cut this part and make it a little bit easier for me. Remember, do not cut any part of your envelope yet. I will show you later on how to cut your envelope. All right, so I'm going to fold it over, and I know that the opening is right there. So I'm just going to, and this doesn't even have to be perfect. And again, for video purposes, I'm not going to even measure it out. I'm just going to willy-nilly it and just cut it. Just so. There's no perfection. Because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to flip this right over inside the pocket, which, look at that. That makes it that reinforces that edge too. So when I want to put papers, anything in it, it's going to make it nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip that back over and glue it. The best part about journaling and making these journals, there's no mistakes. There aren't any. And I love that about it. And I'm going to continue incorporating my paper beads into these junk journals. Okay, there you go. Now we're going to cover that side up. I think I'm going to choose the same paper. I don't want to choose anything different, because we have quite a number of patterns going on here. So you just measure it out, and how you measure it out is however you'd like. But for me, I measure it out with glue. I just go ahead and glue it. And I place the glue wherever I want the paper to stick and press it down. And once this is pressed down, you're going to go ahead and you're going to flip it over. And you can crease it, keep creasing it, making sure that you don't, oh, see, look, I don't like that. There's that little crease. I'm going to pick it back up again. This part definitely has to be correct. I mean, it can't be any mistakes, because that's a crease and that's really important. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip that paper over and redo it. There you go. That's much better. Flip it over, and then I'm going to cut all around it. It's coming along rather nicely, and I love the way the papers just go with one another. I love the writing on this paper, this piece here. We'll make sure that, see that? We want to make sure our papers are all down. Glue any areas that seem to be popping up. And I think we're good. Up, just a little bit there. Okay, so let's see. We're almost there. Look how pretty. That's coming out really very nice. Okay, the next part is our signatures. And how we're going to, I'm going to show you how, there's a couple ways of doing this. This is my way. I've chosen 8.5 by 11 paper. Now these were 12 by 12s, and I cut them down to 8.5 because I couldn't find nice paper 8.5 by 11. So I made them my own. I cut them down. Now one of them seems to be a little bit off edge. So I might have to eliminate it, but you want to make sure. All right, whoops, let me see. I'm going to take that one out. All right, you want to make sure that they all are even. Now, if you're making one of the other junk journals, they're called grungy junk journaling. You don't want paper to be all nice and even. It's really kind of crazy. It's really sweet and look it looks great, but for this purpose, we want to make sure that these papers are all aligned correctly. If you haven't seen my junk journal, go over to Nostalgia Narratives. I'll put the link below and it shows you what I mean. Papers are all over the place and they're bound into the book. It's really kind of cool. All right, so let's make sure that everything is even on the bottom and the top, and you want to create 3 holes in the middle of the crease. You can measure them out, but I've been doing so many of them, I kind of eyeballed it. You want to get your string and your big eye needle, and you want to get your awl. So here you want to go ahead and just poke through with the awl. Very, very, not so hard. Don't punch really hard with it. And you want to also create holes in your signatures. So you want to measure those out so they are measured accordingly to the holes that you just created in your journal. The big-eyed needle is what I use. Any kind of string will do. This is wax string, and I really like this because when you have journals, there's a lot of wear and tear opening the pages, and this is really kind to the pages, the paper. Oops, there she goes again. I think she wants my string there. Oh, Lily, there's a needle here, honey. I don't want you getting hurt. Okay, so once you, I gotta put her down. Once you've thread your needle, you don't want to double it. You want to make sure that it's just one long string. And we're going to go through the paper. Now, if you see where, I've been doing so many of these, I know exactly where they're at. So you want to go ahead and punch that through. And if you find that you can't measure on the outside, if you find that it's difficult to see them, you can always flip over your paper on the white side and measure it through there. And just poke your holes through, and there you go. So you can also flip it over and measure them like so, and then you'll know exactly where they are. But I've been doing so many of them, it's like second nature to me. All right, so you want to crease that and line them up to the holes, and you want to get your string. You don't want to, I should call it a cord. It's more of a cord than a string. You don't want to tie knots or anything like that. You just want to keep it loose like that. You're going to start from the inside, and I always measure it out um, to the size of the paper. That's your tail. Your tail should always be the width of the paper, the signature. Now, when I sew them in, I always go through the signatures first, not the signatures and the journal. That's how I do it. You can do it differently. Now you're going to go ahead and make sure that that stays just like that, the tail, and then I go through and I sew through the journal itself. And I make sure I don't want to tug too hard, but that tail needs to stay where it's at. Excuse me. And then once I'm on the outside, I'm going to go up through the top on the outer part, going inside. Now, I'm not a lefty, so it's difficult for me to poke it through. There we go. While you're tugging, make sure. Okay, and there you go. Okay, now we're going to go down through the bottom, and that's just through the signatures itself. Then we're going to go through the actual folder itself, but make sure your tail's always the same length, the width of your signature. Go through the bottom, and we're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, that is right. That's good. Now I'm going to find my middle on the outside and go through there. Now again, I'm just going through the envelope first, then going through the signatures. Want to make sure everything is nice and taut. Nothing is too tight because it is paper and you don't want to tear it. We're almost there. Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to show you. I usually I remove the needle off of or cut it off, one or the other. I'm going to bring the book up and I'll show you. You have two tails here. One's going to be going underneath of the sewn part, and one's going to be, so they're both underneath of it, okay? Now this point you can do whatever you want. You can tie a bow, you do want to do a knot, you could do a surgeon's knot. I usually just do 2 knots and that's good. I'm good to go. You can make this hanging, you can hang beads from it. You can cut it all the way up into the edge. It depends on how you want your journal to look. It's yours to do whatever you feel fit. I'm going to choose this one. This one's kind of big, but just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I'm going to thread that through the paper bead. And remember, paper strips are sold at bellybeads.com. This particular one is also sold at paper beads at mybellybeads.com. Now that's a little, okay, I should have made it a little bit longer because look, now it's making it bulkier. We're just going to go with it for now. But if it does get on my nerves, I'm going to cut it off. Okay, so let's go ahead now and show you what we're up to. Now we're up to the part where we're going to put the handle on, the paper bead handles. And we're going to go ahead and flip over the envelope. Now see, that bead is making it very bulky for me. I might have to get rid of it, which I am. I'm cutting it off. There you go. I'll put a new one on. You want to use more cord. Now this goes according to how long you want your handle to be. I usually just eyeball it. I've done so many of them. You don't want the string to be too long on the back of this. Just right up to that point where where you see the pink. Whoops, I'm sorry, I'm out of camera here. All right, so that's the point that I like right there. And I'm going to tape it. I'm going to get some Scotch tape. You will not see this Scotch tape. We're going to be covering it, so don't worry about that. Now, you don't want to tape down the other side just yet because we have to string our paper beads on. So this part I could possibly speed up, but I think it gives me an opportunity to tell you some other important information. The holes, if you are concerned that the holes are going to be, wear and tear, the ones where you had sewn through them, you can use eyelets, and they're great with the grommets. You can put those in, and that will help the wear and tear of the holes. Or you can leave them. Now, I've had my books for at least 9 months, and I use them every day, practically all day sometimes, and they don't wear and tear. There is a little bit of a tear, but not too bad. But if you put the eyelets, that will prevent it from tearing. All right, so there we go. We have our handle. Came out perfect. I also sell these paper strips to these size beads and shapes on bellybeads.com. You're going to go ahead and tape down that side. Make sure that it's even. And I think it is. We're going to go ahead and tape that down. And trim off any excess cord. Now you want to cover those tape marks. To do so, you can go ahead and use any other kind of paper. You can use the same paper that's already on there, but I think I'm going to go with the pink. Yeah, the pink is good. I'm going to go with the pink, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces to the size of the strip of tape. Again, I just typically eyeball things. I've made so many of them again. I just eyeball them, and for video purposes, time-wise. So I'm going to, it's about 1.5 inches, and that's the size I'm going to cover the tape with. You can go past the pink if you like, or you can cut it right there, which I am. So I'm going to fold that over because I'm going to make a duplicate side of it on the tape. So I folded it. It's really not the same size because I could still see some white. But again, for video purposes, I'm just going to keep it. You can certainly measure all those out. And there we go. We have 2 nice sizes. And you can now, again, you can leave it like it is or use your corner cutter punch hole. Again, I'm doing this in the air, and I don't think it's going to work very nicely. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to probably put that on the table to cut. When making videos, I want you to see it up close, but that's kind of difficult. So there we go. We're going to cut those corners. And the nice part of this is too, you can leave them the way it is, or you can distress them on the sides. And distressing is just basically getting some of the ink, getting the dauber, and rubbing the ink along the sides of the edges of the paper to make them look distressed. I think that looks really fun. And you would do that before you glue them down, of course. So we're just going to go ahead and go around. I like getting it all over. I don't know. Look, it just makes it look like it's distress. I think I had so much fun making my other junk journal, and it's really been a journey. It's been a really fun journey. I love collecting for the journals too. Antique shops and thrift shops. Anything old, you just stick in that journal. You can tape things, pictures. You can do the edge of your journal. Look at this. Isn't that so cool? I have so much fun when I do this. Like that's what I was speaking of earlier about there's no mistakes. There aren't any mistakes in junk journaling. You just go with it. All right. So let's go ahead and glue down. Now again, I can fast forward all this, but a lot of you have asked me not to. You like to just create along with me, so that's why I'm not going to fast forward it. I too like doing that when someone is creating something instead of going back and forth. Now this piece is getting on my nerves because it has to be right up at the top. Now this part does, I think, it does not excuse mistakes, I should say. I don't want to see the cord. And I'm going to tape. Now I think the tape here is a little long, too long, so I'm going to pull that up and clip it. There we go. Go ahead and press that down. There you go. Now we have one more piece. Now we can go ahead and cover that. There's so many things to do. And like I said, I'm going to link below the lady that has created this. She did a lot of awesome things and put things on her journal. But again, I'm just going to leave it go. I'm going to put the connectors like this on there. I call them my connectors. You can call them whatever. This is one of my favorite ones. Again, it has the newspaper on it, like an old newspaper. Now, there's a couple things that you can do, but I have already created them. You can use hole punchers, you can cut holes in them, and create these. And these are, the middle piece are called brads. They're paper fasteners, but I've heard that they're called brads too. You can get them on, I got them on Amazon. And I'll put all my materials and where I purchased everything in the links below in the description. Now, if the brads are too long, you can go ahead and get pliers and just cut them. Don't use your scissors. I tend to want to do that all the time, but just go get something that cuts metal. I get my metal cutter and just clip a little bit of it so it shortens it up, makes it a little bit easier. And you could do the same for that. You can now glue these down. Make sure you're very generous with this glue because they will pop up. You can even sew these on. I mean, the ideas are limitless. You can put it on before you put that piece of paper on too, and then press it down. So before we place that paper on the inner upper inside of the flap, you can have it all ready and put and poke those brads through, and then have the cover paper up. So you could do that as well. And then I'm going to place the second one directly over it. Make sure, again, the glue has to set, and it does take a while, and I'm rushing this. If you wanted to cut through and or poke through the brad for this one, you can do that as well before we even put paper down. All right, so I'm trying to get these down and glued so they don't come off, but it does take time. For the string, you can do whatever you want. This string I have here is a little bit under, it looks like 9 inches. You can make it as long as you want, as short as you want, just like so. So it can allow it to wrap over the brad. Okay, so then, and look, we got more paper beads, of course. You can hang those. So let's get this string. I'm going to look for a nice paper bead. I'm just looking through my box and I found a little one. So we're going to go ahead and get our string. I'm going to thread it through. Make sure that the knot is big enough so the bead doesn't fall through it. So this one I think I'm going to need probably 3 knots because this hole is a little bit bigger than the knot. And again, I could speed through this, but I know a lot of you don't want me to, so I won't. All right, maybe one more for safe measures. There we go. Okay. Now, once that's done, you're going to go ahead and you're going to wrap the string around, or the cord around the brad itself. And then the second piece. And then there you go. And look at what we have here. Is this awesome or what? This is the back. Again, you can cover the back with another piece of paper. And look at the way I have today will be a happy day. I'm glad that came out exactly the way I wanted to. I wasn't sure, so I'm glad. And if we just open this up, we can check our complete work. There's our pockets. There's our signatures. We can tape pictures on there. And there's our second other pocket, and we can put anything on there. You can staple things on there. I had so much fun doing this. This was definitely a blast, and I'm so glad that I've shared 2 great projects with you, my paper beads and my junk journaling. So again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. It really allows me to make more content that you enjoyed it. And don't forget, I will link my other channel, Nostalgia Narratives, in the description below. You can check out, that's a new channel, so I am developing it more and more. There'll be more video. But look at this, a great way to incorporate our paper beads. Once again, All right, thank you everyone. Thank you for all your support. I appreciate you. If you have any questions, please comment below. Let me know what you think of this. Do you have any, do you journal? Do you have any journals? Have you ever created any journals? And what did you think of how I incorporated the paper beads into it? And remember, um, bellybeads.com, you can find these paper strips in my store. And I'm also going to try to make a kit out of this. Have a creative day. Bye.